clients and friends that tell me I just here because of the waves. So Puerto Rico is a U.S. unincorporated territory. Needs passport to travel between the U.S. and mainland and the island. You have the U.S. currency. You have banking regulators under the FDIC with the deposit secures up to $250,000. You have intellectual property protection under the U.S. law, general applicability of U.S. federal laws, and presence of U.S. federal courts. So that in itself, it's a framework of what is to do business in Puerto Rico under the regular rules. So Janelle, yes, now I understand, or sort of, the legal framework, the tax framework, and what is good to be in Puerto Rico. Do I qualify for Act 20? Well, step 3, understand the requirements under Act 20. First of all, you have to understand that Act 20 is intended to provide an incentive to service providers, to the export of services. So, first of all, you need to provide a service. You need to receive service income. And I emphasize on this because since there are other incentive laws, sometimes people confuse the type of income that could be covered under Act 20. No dividends, no capital gains, no interest. It's service income. Therefore, your business should be a service. So it should be a business that provides service, and most of all, that could be provided remotely. For me, remotely is crucial because you have to be able to export the service. You are located in Puerto Rico, physically located in Puerto Rico, but your client is outside of Puerto Rico. Therefore, you have to have the flexibility and to provide that service remotely. Otherwise, it could have tax consequences that will not allow you to maximize the benefit. It's not impossible, but in order to maximize the benefits under the Act, you need to be able to provide the service remotely. What type of service, Well, plenty of services, almost every service thinkable. Research and development, advertising and public relations, consulting services, or for any trade or business, it's pretty comprehensive. Commercial art and graphic services, professional services as legal, tax, and accounting services, and so on. Call centers, shared service centers, medical and hospital services, including reference laboratory services, investment banking, and other financial services. So you've seen a lot, or what I've seen a lot, of people relocated in those areas, specifically in the financial area, technology, that is, as I mentioned before, a service that could be provided remotely. What else do I need to know? Well, you need to know that the service needs to have no nexus to Puerto Rico. Therefore, as I said, you should have your client outside of Puerto Rico, but most of all, the service that you're providing have to have no relationship to Puerto Rico. Obviously, this is done to promote Puerto Rico as a place of business to the world. When do I apply? Well, my answer to that would be as soon as possible, because although the sunset of the law is December 31st, 2020, you really want to maximize the benefits that you can get from this law. Well, does that mean that on December 31, 2020, my decree is gone, vanished? No. That means that if you apply even December 30, 2020, you still can get the 20 years that the law provides for the benefits. As I mentioned, once you go through the whole process that I'm going to explain in a minute, and you get the tax decree provided by the government, you get a 20-year decree that can be extended for 10 more years that grants the following: 4% income tax rate instead of the 39% that we spoke about in a minute ago, 100% exempt distributions, 60% exemption from municipal license taxes, and 90% exemption from real or personal property taxes in the case of certain services such as call centers, headquarters, and shared service centers. Step number 4. Okay, Janelle, now I understand Puerto Rico, I understand, I think I'm eligible, what do? Run the numbers. Call your accountant, find out what are your sources of income, and run the numbers. Even though this sounds like a very attractive deal, you have to really make sure that this works for you. And the only way to knowing that is running the numbers. This is a very simple example in which a business running in mainland with state and federal corporate taxes up to 40%, and dividend withholding taxes upon distribution of 20%, has a net income in $1 million gross revenue of $448,000. That same business can relocate to Puerto Rico and basically be subject only to a 4% tax rate, providing a net distribution of $960,000. That is basically a tax saving of $512,000, or 51% per each $1 million. And that could be very attractive. Okay, I'm in. What do I do now? Well, you call your tax attorney. Why? Because this is a matter of tax law. And why do I say this? Because as Alberto mentioned, you're subject to Puerto Rico law. You, as U.S. citizens, we're still subject to the U.S. income tax code of 1986. And as residents of Puerto Rico, you're subject to the Puerto Rico code. And you're subject to every other law. So, as I mentioned before, since Puerto Rico is considered a foreign jurisdiction for tax purposes, there comes like an interaction that is basically international tax law. And if you really want to maximize the benefits, you have to consider in your tax planning all the decisions that you make. You should be careful not to get into a transaction that will jeopardize your planning. Step 6, create or expand your business in Puerto Rico. Well, why do I say expand? Because this is not a law just for people that want to relocate their business to Puerto Rico. I actually have clients, local clients like Abarca Health, that have expanded their operations to the United States and have acquired an Act 20. And this is very important because, as one of the speakers mentioned, this whole Act 20 program is changing the mindset in terms of what Puerto Rico entrepreneurs can do. So you decide, like in every other jurisdiction, you decide to start a business, and the first thing you consider is what's my vehicle? What's do I use a corporation? Do I use an LLC? And I want to clarify that Act 20 provides that the applicant should be an entity. Therefore, although you're providing services, and many people are used to provide services personally as a service provider, that will not allow them to apply. They need to have a legal entity as the law is drafted right now. You create the entity. Since Puerto Rico does not have a register, you have to register with the IRS. And you have to register with the Puerto Rico Treasury Department. You have to obtain merchants register certification.